on Twitter today, at Rob Maaddi. Follow him there. And you got a chance to catch up with Jalen Hurts, it looks like. And obviously had some very interesting things to say about Dallas week. Now, I thought his answer on Dallas week was very interesting, Rob. Now, he did play in the Dallas Eagle game last year, connected with Deshaun Jackson for a big one. But this one's Monday night. It's early in the season. Does he feel any different about the fact that he's the starting quarterback for Dallas week?
You know what's funny, Mike, is that he kind of downplayed it, and I said, Dallas week's a different animal in Philly, and Jalen is so guarded, man. He is so careful not to say anything that's offensive, not to say anything that's bulletin board material, not to say anything that will get blown out of proportion, taken out of context, to the point where he couldn't even take on a question about the Eagles-Dallas rivalry and say, yeah, I know how much it means to Eagles. However, I will say this. I see that the Eagles tweeted, he must have changed along the way. He must have, because the Eagles, and this might have been in a news conference today. I wasn't on with Jalen today. I had Tim Tebow and a couple others. He said, we respect the game, we respect the rivalry, and we know what it means to the fans. So after telling me that it was no different than any other division opponent, then he says, all right, yeah. So I don't know if somebody got in his ear a little bit.
He knows the audience. The faith on the field audience is a little different than the
You know what I did though, Mike? I pulled an end around. I kind of did a Philly special. I yanked Jalen from this weekend, and we got Tim Tebow on this week. When you got an opportunity to bring in Tim, you're going to bring him in. So he'll be this weekend's faith on the field, and Jalen will be on next week.
All right, so 9 o'clock on Saturday, 6:30 Sunday. Tim Tebow is the guest with Rob Maaddi. This week, Jalen Hurts will be the guest next week, and you can hear those interviews right here on 97.3 ESPN. But, okay, off of that, Jalen very guarded about his answer. The coach comes out with a Beat Dallas T-shirt on today. So I'm kind of wondering, do the younger generation or the younger players not understand what this week means to the fan base?
They don't. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind that younger players who are not from the area, who didn't grow, like you talk to a Sean Bradley who went to Temple, who's a little bit more local than Jalen Hurts from Houston, he's going to understand what the rivalry means. But when you talk to younger players in the NFL nowadays, and the Eagles are drafting guys who are so far removed from the Jimmy Johnson and the Buddy Ryan and the Snow, that's where I go back. Forget about Tom Landry. Forget about the rivalry back then. I'm just talking about the Jimmy Johnson days, and some of these guys weren't even born back then. So they don't get it. They don't understand it, but it does mean they're aware of it. They're aware of it because they're made aware of it. They're made aware of it by fans who will say to them, we don't care if you beat anybody else. We just need you to beat the Cowboys twice a year, which I think is a crock of nonsense, because fans do care if you beat anybody else, and they would not be happy with a 2-15 season and the only 2 wins being the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, I'm interested to get, the whole Eagles-Dallas. Now, I grew up, I'm always more into the Eagles-Giants. For me, the whole Dallas thing is this kind of manufactured, whatever. In my opinion, the Dallas fans, they don't care about Eagles fans at all. It's seems like, for whatever reason, I don't understand why the Eagles fans give the satisfaction to the Dallas fans to make them believe that they hate them that much. You know what I'm saying? Where did this all stem from? Where did it kind of kick off? How?
I totally get that, what you're saying there. And I grew up in the Tom Landry, the Dick Vermeil, and then on to Buddy era. So it goes back before that for Eagles fans and the hatred of the Dallas Cowboys. But I just think of so many different moments that stand out. Like when you tell me Eagles-Cowboys rivalry, I'll think of the Jimmy Johnson snowball. I'll think of Bounty Bolt with Luis Zendejas. I'll think of the Thanksgiving game when the Eagles went down there and spanked them. I think they shut them out. They sacked Troy Aikman double-digit, 10, 11 times, whatever it may be. I'll think about when Buddy Ryan got so mad at Tom Landry for what happened during the scab games in the '87 strike season, that he had Randall Cunningham, when they came back, he had Randall fake and kneel down and throw deep to Mike Quick when, instead of running out the clock. And then they moved the ball to the 1, and he had him score. So those are the things that stand out to me. But geographically, yeah, the Giants are certainly closer to Philly, and that's the geographic rival. But I look at, America's team. Everybody loves to see Jerry Jones losing. The Jerry Jones lose face is what makes, I think, fans even that much more excited about seeing the Cowboys go down. And I don't think that's just a Philly thing. I think that's everywhere. Everybody who's not a Cowboy fan likes to see Jerry sulking up there in that suite.
Well, that coupled, too, with the fact, Rob, that really since, I don't know, I was in college, the Giants have actually been the better team. I mean, they've won 2 Super Bowls. Dallas, if you're in your 30s, Dallas has been terrible. For the most part, they haven't really done anything but disappoint people. That's another reason why I feel like the Eagles have lowered their standards to who they want to, it's like, for 30 years, this team hasn't been any good. Why do we get so amped up for a team that is essentially, I don't want to say the Cleveland Browns, but they've been one of they haven't won 4 playoff games in 20 years.
4 playoff games since their last Super Bowl, as many playoff wins as Nick Foles by himself. The Dallas Cowboys no longer are relevant enough to be hated. And that's kind of what I feel like you're saying there, Mike.
Yeah.
That they're just not good enough. They're just not they're not relevant enough. Although to me they're the team that beat in the NFC East. So, right? And so for that reason now, because they are the best team in the NFC East, or I feel they are the best team in the NFC East, and the Giants are still floundering around in below mediocrity right now, trying to figure out what the heck they're going to do with Daniel Jones and Joe Judge and everything they got going on, that it adds a little bit more to it. It does add a little bit more to it, the fact that the Cowboys are – you look at Dak and you look at the receivers and you look at Zeke. Like, I have a hard time with anyone who wants to hate Dak Prescott, because I just think that he's gone through so much. I've had conversations with him, and he's a guy to me that is a very likable Dallas Cowboy, right? I had a show a couple years ago where I said, I know you all hate the Cowboys, but who do you like the most? And Jason Witten was one of the leading guys. Like, Jason Witten was among the most likable Dallas Cowboys of all time. And I would put Dak Prescott in that category.
Yeah, I appreciate Dak in his game. And the role he has this week, Rob, where do you see, them – do they lean on him? That seems like what they've been doing is still throwing. He's still putting up big numbers. Or do they go to the Zeke Elliott, Tony Pollard route? The Eagles' defense has been pretty interesting, but this will be a different test for them.
Yeah, you're right. It will be a test for the Eagles, and they've done well holding teams off the scoreboard. They've done well limiting yardage, too, but this is going to be their toughest test to date right now, and it's a Dallas team that Tony Pollard, he was very impressive running the ball last week. So you got to worry about Pollard. You worry a little bit about Zeke Elliott, and then, of course, Dak and all those weapons. I'm interested to see how does Jonathan Gannon – what does he scheme up this week? How does he attack the Cowboys? Because that can still hurt you with his legs. He's still got ability to create plays back there. I know he's coming off that gruesome ankle injury and he doesn't want to run around and get popped, but I still think he can hurt you that way. And you look at Cooper, you look at CeeDee Lamb as a guy who every Eagles fan has nightmares about, because everybody wanted him last year, right? Why did you trade up and get CeeDee Lamb? Instead, you end up with Jalen Reagor. So this is a tough matchup for the Eagles on Monday night, and I'm concerned about it because I could potentially see this game getting away from Philly. And you definitely don't want to see that. You don't want to see a rout or a blowout on Monday Night Football with the national spotlight on them and then the Manning telecast. And God knows what Eli and Peyton are going to say about the Birds on Monday night.
Yeah, it's funny you brought that up because I've been conflicted. With your team in the game, like I want to watch the game, I find myself unable to focus on the game when they're talking. So do you watch the Manning cast when your team is in the game? How do you play that?
That's a great question. My buddies sent me a text the first week about the Manning telecast, and I said, I'll watch it every Monday night unless the Eagles are in the game or unless the Buccaneers are playing, and I want to focus on the football game because, like you said, they're entertainment in and of themselves. And then when they bring in their guests, like you bring in Gronk and he's having, or Pat McAfee, and they're having a blast. I can't even focus on the plays.
Exactly.
I'm listening to those guys. So I think this one would be one where you DVR the Manning telecast and watch that the next day or whenever you want to watch it, just to hear a little bit of the intimate details and how maybe they may have taken a shot at the Eagles or taken a shot at whoever. But I will certainly be tuned in to the normal broadcast, which, I mean, Mike, I feel bad for those guys, don't you? The fact that, like, the regular crew, crew who's got to see everybody falling all over the Mannings on social media saying how great they are, and here you are, Brian Greasy, Steve Levy, and Louis Riddick, and you got to see, like, what's happening here, you know?
Yeah, it's tough. And the ratings, I mean, for the first week to the second week went up almost like 150%. I mean, so Crazy. It was almost like we didn't know about it, and everyone was talking about it. I feel like I missed out. I can't even imagine, because you got Dallas and Philly, you know, there's a reason why this game's on Monday night. It's obviously they're looking for ratings with these two fan bases, so you would only imagine that the ratings are going to continue to go up here. So I don't know. I'm kind of conflicted on how I'm going to watch this game. Rob Maaddi from the Associated Press. It's the Eagles taking on the Dallas Cowboys. Let me get your take on then one area where you think Philly can exploit and has an advantage.
Well, with the offensive line going up against the Dallas, I guess, undersized defensive line, the Eagles' offensive line is big. Landon Dickerson now steps in for Brandon Brooks, and he's a giant of a man, and they have a size advantage up front. And I think that the Eagles can have a little bit of an edge there, and able to have that edge and maintain that edge. I want to see them run the football, man. I want to see them come out and take advantage of their size up front and run the ball behind Jordan Mailata, run the ball behind Lane Johnson, run the ball up the middle. Let's get some success on the ground to open up the pass game. I thought we would see that more from Nick Sirianni so far, and we haven't seen enough yet. And I think this is the kind of game where that's something that the Eagles can try to attack and exploit.
Yeah, he did say, Rob, that he self-scouted himself this week, and that he was hard on himself, that he really drug himself through the mud this week for the game that he called. So at least he acknowledged he did not, what we all saw, he did not have a good game.
I got to do a better job, right? He channeled his Andy. He channeled his Andy Reid. I got to do a better job.
For how long can you use that before people turn on you, right?
Not long, Mike. Not in this town, man. I got to do a better job, put guys in better position. I appreciate Nick. I appreciate his honesty, his sincerity, the fun that he has wearing these T-shirts and wearing a Hurts shirt last week and that beat Dallas one this week. But that can come back and bite him in the butt. If Dallas wants to look at the coach of the other team wearing a T-shirt like that. And you should not need any extra motivation in the NFL. You should not need any extra bulletin board material to play on Monday Night Football. But any little bit of an advantage that you can get from psychologically from anything that you draw on, I question that.
Faith on the Field, 9 o'clock Saturday. Tim Tebow is the guest. Rob Maaddi's the host. Listen to it live here on 97.3 ESPN. All right, Rob, have a good week, man.
Thank you, Mike. As always, you're the
best.
Rob
is back on Tuesday as we'll recap the day after Eagles and Cowboys.